We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's May 14th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and thank you for joining us on News Generation. Joining me in the studio today is Im Sang-yeop.
Thanks for having me.
Happy Tuesday, and Kwon Ji-yeon.
Happy Tuesday.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. Now, let's begin with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online over the past 24 hours. Pictures and videos capturing the dazzling auroras that adorn the skies across the northern hemisphere during the weekend are circulating online. Now, these light shows were the result of increased solar activity marked by a series of solar flares and coronal mass ejections from the sun. Viewers were treated to a breathtaking spectacle of green, red, and purple lights dancing across the night sky. Moving on, back here in Korea, from this Friday, the country will be using the term 국가유산, which means national heritage, for state-designated cultural property or 문화재 in Korean. The Cultural Heritage Administration, which will also be renamed the Korea Heritage Service on the same day, says this change comes from recognizing that the term cultural property sounds materialistic and brings to mind associations with goods or assets. National heritage will be divided into cultural, natural, and intangible heritage, aligning with UNESCO's heritage classification. Now, finally, moving on, there are new insights to the age-old debate regarding the correlation between smoking and weight loss. Now, research presented at this year's European Congress on Obesity, conducted jointly by Loughborough University and the University of Leicester, suggests that smokers tend to eat less and adopt less healthy eating habits compared to non-smokers. Now, the study, which surveyed over 80,000 adults in the United Kingdom, showed that smokers generally had lower body weight and body mass index than non-smokers, and quitting was associated with weight gain. Now, while the exact relationship between smoking and eating behavior still remains unclear, participants who smoked were more likely to skip meals, have fewer meals per day, and were less likely to snack between meals than non-smokers. So here in the studio, I want to ask you guys, first of all, Yu Juan, what are your thoughts on these findings?
Well, this might give smokers a good excuse, an easy excuse, making them think that smoking will make them stay slim, even though it ruins their whole body. They might lose weight, but at the same time, they will lose their health at the same time, at the same point. It's important to understand the big picture. Trading your health with what? Weight control is quite risky indeed.
Of course, very dangerous.
And you know, there are plenty of other ways to lose weight. You know, we have this exercise. I think more than 99.9% of the whole population will know this secret. You know, exercise and eating healthy food will be the best way to lose weight. So why choose smoking, which harms your health? And promoting smoking for weight control overlooks the nicotine's addictive grip. So I hope all of the people over there will make wise decisions.
Right, so this can definitely have a negative health impact on a lot of people, right? And what are your thoughts on this, Sang-yeop?
Well, I don't smoke, but I heard from my heavy smoker friend that when you smoke cigarettes, you lose the savory feelings in your mouth and you lose the taste of almost everything, no matter how the food is delicious. So it is plausible that nicotine actually lessens your appetite, and this may lead to the lose of your weight. But the important thing here is when you're on a diet, it is important to focus on the healthy way of doing your diet rather than just being obsessed with the numbers on scale. So like Juyeon mentioned, we also know that the healthy method of diet is to eat vegetables and take proteins and do enough amount of exercise every day rather than just relying on drugs or cigarettes. And also it has been turned out that smoking causes diabetes and lung cancer. So here you can see that smoking can have more severe side effects. So in that sense, I want to be a chubby, healthy, and happy man rather than being an overly skinny smoker.
Quite a comparison. So smoking or not, that's up to you. But if you're trying to lose weight through smoking, you might offer healthier options to go on a diet. And that was our news feed for this Tuesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Now here in Korea, you can find lotus lanterns of various sizes and colors, just like the dress that I'm wearing, adorning the streets right now. And that's because tomorrow marks the Day of Buddha's Coming, a celebration that's held every April 8th of the lunar calendar to honor Buddha's birthday. Now when we think about Buddhism, the image of a very serene temple and the chanting of Buddhist scriptures often comes to mind. But have you ever imagined a monk stepping up as a DJ at a music festival? Well, if you haven't, take a listen to find out more. Lately, there's been quite a buzz online about a Korean DJ who's been hitting the stage dressed as a monk. While some have voiced concerns about his performance potentially distorting Buddhist values, others argue that he's actually helping the religion connect with a broader audience. In an era where the younger generation is increasingly disengaging from organized religion, this unconventional approach is just one example of how religions are adapting to appeal to a younger demographic. So what you just saw is the video of this DJ monk who addresses himself as Yujin Snim performing at one event. Now this Yujin Snim, which Snim means monk in Korean, he started receiving a great amount of attention last month when he performed at one Buddhist festival, right, Sang-hyuk? So tell us more.
Yeah, so if I just give you the recap of what happened last month, the biggest Buddhism culture festival in Korea, the 2024 Seoul International Buddhism Expo, was held to spread the belief of Buddhism to the general public. Now here, as you have just seen on the screen, the Buddhism officials exhibited various Buddhism contents under the slogan of fun Buddhism. There were also performances that caught the eyes of many MZers, including the DJ monk Yujin Snim playing EDM music that is based on the Buddhist scriptures and doctrines. And he also played the singing bowl, which is the traditional instrument you can often find in the Buddhism culture. So as you can see here, these brand new performances garnered the attention of many MZers. We usually have this long-standing perception that Buddhism is full of tranquility and peace. But with this year's Buddhism festival, the community decided to pursue a new change in their culture. So they tried to get closer to the younger generation by showing this kind of trendy performance.
These performances that we're seeing right now definitely seem interesting. I think that the interesting programs that really targeted the younger generation contributed to this. But what's really interesting is that around 80% of the participants at this Buddhist Expo were Millennials and Gen Zs. That's quite a big number. So looking at this number and also just the people around us, there seems to be like a growing interest in Buddhism among our generation. So Jiyeon, I want to ask you, have you also noticed this trend? And if you have, what do you think are some of the reasons why our Buddhism is catching up on our generation?
Well, this event actually grabbed a lot of attention from the MZers, as you can see in the clip. Well, so even grabbing the attention with the non-Buddhist MZers, some reckon it resonated with them because it offered some comfort to people who were suffering from stress, going beyond just being entertaining. And such events serve as bridges for fostering understanding for different generations, cultures, and sometimes philosophies as well. Perhaps thanks to such events, a rise, the actual popularity of Buddhism is on the rise every single year.
I think you mentioned a really good point that these events catering to the younger generation is fostering a deeper understanding of the religion because, for example, to talk about a personal story, I also went on a temple stay during my vacation last month, though I do not affiliate with any religion. And it really helped me just clear up my mind, and it helped me like have a deeper understanding of the religion itself. So I thought it was a very good opportunity to become closer. So hope that more religions could create these kind of events to make themselves closer to the younger generation as well. Now, not only talking about Buddhism, let's kind of expand our discussion to a broader scope and talk about religion in general here in Korea. So for those who are not familiar with Korea's religious affiliations, Sang-hyuk, is there like a dominant or relatively popular religion here in the country?
Well, first of all, Well, according to the Korean Constitution, it acknowledges the freedom of religion. So we can find this from the recent survey as well. So let's all take a look at the screen. Now, the biggest proportion of religious belief in Korea was in the order of Buddhists, Protestants, and Catholics. But at the same time, the number of the religions, that is, those who choose to turn away their faith, is also accelerating. So especially for those in their 20s, the number of those who believe in any type of religion only stood out to be 1 out of 5. So you can see here that not many younger generation nowadays do not believe in any religion at all.
It's quite interesting that almost 80% of those in their 20s in Korea are religious nuns. So, Jiyeon, what do you think are some of the reasons behind this?
Well, MZ generations are losing the interest in these religions because they don't believe in it and they are actually disappointed. They don't have much time and energy to pour on it. Well, they also feel like they don't, more people are living alone these days, as you may know. So they are turning their attention to other activities such as sports or social activities instead of traditional religious practices. And many are seeking activities that they find it more beneficial to their self-improvement. So it's quite understandable that the MZ generations, the younger generations, are losing the interest in these religions unless they find it personally meaningful.
Right. So although we're seeing a decline in millennials and Gen Zs who are affiliating themselves with the religion, I heard that you guys both have a religion. So starting from you, Sang-yeok, what religion do you believe in, and what has it been like to have a religion here in Korea?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Korea ensures the freedom of religion, and you can find this fact from one page of our history. So during the Japanese colonial era, the very different religious groups gathered together to go on a rally, which is known as the March First Independence Movement to stand against the Japanese rule. So you can see that this was a big accomplishment contributed by different types of religions back then. So likewise, there are many events even today that aims for the harmony and the partnerships of different types of religions. And you can especially witness this in the military. So when Korean men serve in the army, they can participate in different religious ceremonies on the weekends. So you can see that Korea tries to ensure all different types of religion, even in the army. For me, I'm a Catholic, but I'm the case where you follow the footsteps of your parents. So I'm not a fervent believer, but I try to go to church on special occasions like Christmas or Easter's.
Right, and I read a lot of reports that were written in overseas that Korea is a country that has a great amount of religious diversity and religious harmony. Now, Sang-yeok is Catholic. Now, what about you, Jiyeon?
I'm Christian.
Oh.
Yes, but I do believe in religious freedom and respect others' faith as well. I attend church every single Sunday, and I also sometimes go hiking on Sundays. And you know, if you go to Korean mountains, there are so many temples in, on, and inside the mountains. Korea's beautiful temples.
Right.
And after church on Sundays, if I go to hiking, I visit one of the temples inside the mountain before having temple food, or jeolbap, which is
really
free.
popular.
Yes, which is popular and which is free, by the way. Yes. I pray as I do at church in front of the monks.
You're showing religious diversity yourself.
Yes, I know. As I respect their religion, they are respecting mine as well. It's kind of a shared culture in this Korean society because they don't lock the doors. I think most of the temples in Korea, they don't lock their doors.
Right, they're open
to everybody. Expats who are visiting Korea, they are willing to go there to the temples because they can see the beautiful scenery, beautiful architecture, and sometimes they can learn the jeol or bowing, right? And you mentioned about the temple stay earlier. I think it's kind of one of the best ways to experience Korean culture, especially if you are visiting Korea. Please, people say that, you know, temple stay is kind of the must thing that you've got to do if you visit.
It's become a trend.
That's right. So whenever the opportunity arises, I would like to take my 2 kids to the temple stay and let them notice in advance, let them know in advance that there are no no beds, but only blankets, and no meat, sausages, but only vegetables.
A good
right?
education.
But they'll have a good time.
Yes,
right?
they will probably. Yes.
Right. So we're seeing a lot of religious diversity here in the studio as well. Catholic, Christian, and non-religious. So expanding on this, we also asked our viewers about the religious tendencies among millennials and Gen Zs in their respective countries, as well as their views on the trend of more people becoming less religious. And here's what 3 of them had to say. So if we look at the comments, Benny says, I'm a religious person since we are Catholic-centric country. Most of the MZ generation here are religious. I don't want myself to leave my main religion that I've grown for many years. Leon says Singapore's MZ generation shows a trend of being less religious. Many MZers prioritize self-discovery, social justice, and environmental causes. Also, Singapore's emphasis on education and economic development has contributed to a more secular society. And Teresa Bell says MZers in my country are less religious, but turning towards more holistic beliefs. So these were the comments from our viewers, a lot of opinions, but to find out even more, we're now going to talk to a Gen Zer from abroad who is currently living in Korea. We'll be right back, so stay tuned. So today we're joined by Brandon M. Jones, a Gen Zer living in Korea. Welcome, Brandon, to the show and good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today?
Great, we're doing great, thanks to you. So our first question to you is, do you have a religion and what's the religious affiliation of millennials and Gen Zs in your home country?
My parents from the Caribbean, so we are Roman Catholic. So in the States, I'm American, but I grew up in a Roman Catholic family, and that's because of the history of our country. A lot of people said they got the religion from their family. But for America, we are a multinational country, so we have all types of religion: Judaism, Muslim, Christianity, Catholicism, a lot of Buddhism, a lot of different stuff. So as an American, we're really tolerant to all religions. And I feel like Korea itself is very tolerant of other religions itself too.
Okay, Brandon, happy to see the same Catholic believer. So have you taken part in any religious gatherings or events in Korea? And if you have, what was it like?
Recently I did something called like a Songdang tour. My Korean teacher is Catholic, so just randomly she was just like, let's go see all the Catholic churches in Seoul. So I've been to majority of them, and I guess that's like the biggest religious event. I think the one in Yongsan was really interesting because it's a traditional building, but it's a church. But that's like the biggest thing that I've done is like this Songnam tour.
Interesting, Brandon. So, in your opinion, what is it like to practice religion in South Korea?
I think it's pretty normal. It's really decent. There's a lot of churches. So if you have, there's like non-denominational churches. If you're Protestant, if you're another, I guess, sect of Christianity, there's churches for you to attend. I do feel like Christianity is really embedded into Korean culture. Yes, in the past there were, the martyrs and fighting with the government. But I think after that time, a lot of universities embraced Christianity, and that's how a lot of you guys got your education and things like that. So I do feel like Christianity is embedded in your culture and your education system.
Great. Brandon, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and have a lovely day.
Thank you. You too. So let's end off our today's episode on a lighter note because tomorrow is a holiday. We're all taking a day off. So just tell me about your plans on how you plan to spend Buddha's birthday.
Well, the two major ethics of Buddhism is generosity and wisdom. And although I'm not a Buddhist myself, I will try to spend tomorrow with full of wisdom and generosity, hopefully. And like Juyeon mentioned earlier, Buddhism embraces all different types of diversity as well as other other religions apart from Buddhism. And I think this is one of the reasons why Buddhism garnered a great popularity among the MZers because they value diversity the most.
And I think that although specific beliefs and teachings of each religion may be different, I think that they all have one common teaching, which is to love and respect, have tolerance and benevolence towards each other. So as Hang-Yong mentioned, I think that this will be a great time for you to kind of practice these values. Now, what about you, Jill? What are your plans?
Well, I do believe that participating in religious activities is kind of give you some valuable and educational experience at the same time. So, and also you can see the enjoyable pretty lanterns and yeonding, the color that you're wearing today. So I am planning to bring my two kids, two boys, to one of the mountains, maybe Kwanaksan Mountain, which has a beautiful temple. And if I have the opportunity, I'll have some choribap or temple food.
Right, so you don't really need to have a religious belief to enjoy this day. You can just enjoy this culture. Right?
Indeed.
Yeah, so I hope everybody has a lovely Buddhist day tomorrow. But NewsGen is here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics. Young people are talking about special things today. To Im Sang-hyuk
Thanks for having me.
and Kwon Ji-hyun.
See you next time.
Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you on Thursday. We are News Generation.